later on. All right, so shalom everyone. Again, I'm Brother Doug with the Awakened by Yahuwah Fellowship Assembly, Yahuwah Almighty Yahushua Messiah. Um, we're going to be starting our Torah portion off here in Numbers, chapters 13 to 15. All right. So I request any questions and comments, just please leave it to the end of each reading. As a new rule for our group here, please just it will help us get through these readings a little faster instead of having so much stopping. That's just my request here. So we can always expound, comment after each chapter. Okay. All right. So as usual, I'm going to be using the Word software. I really like this software. It's one of my favorites here. Let me see here. Why can't I find it on here? Okay, that's weird. I had to go to my the start button on my laptop here, the Windows start button to find it. That was a little strange. For me to have to do that, but anyway. All right, let me get it on the shared screen here. I noticed that there's a new button here that says optimize for video clip when you do a shared screen. That's interesting. Something I don't remember seeing before. Okay, so let's go to compare here. As usual, I will be doing on one side the LXXE, which is the abbreviation for the Septuagint in English done by Lancelot Brenton in 1851. That's when that translation was made. And also the Targum Onkelos, the Aramaic version of the Pentateuch. So we're going to be comparing those two, the Greek and Aramaic texts side by side. Okay. All right. So let me just fix this here. We shouldn't have a third option for this parallel. I don't know why there's a third one there. Let me fix that. Okay. Here we go. So we got Numbers 13. All right. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, let me get my microphone here. Okay. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, send for you men and let them spy the land of the Canaanites, which I give to the sons of Yasharal for a possession, one man for a tribe. You shall send them away according to their families, every one of them a prince. So prince in the context, obviously a human prince, a leader, a ruler of each tribe. Okay. And Moshe sent them out of the wilderness of Paran by the word of Yahuwah. Okay. Interesting. All right. And all these were the princes of the sons of Yasharal. And these, their names of the tribe of Reuben, Samuel, the son of Zakur. Of the tribe of Simeon, Saphat, son of Suri. Okay. Of the tribe of Yehuda, Caleb, the son of Yaphune. Of the tribe of Issachar, Elal, the son of Yosef. Of the tribe of Ephraim, Husha, or Hosea, son of Nun. Okay, so that's his name before he's named Yahusha. Is Hosea or Husha. Okay. Hoshea is in the English there, but they have it for there. So anyway, moving on. Of the tribe of Benjamin, Phalti, son of Raphu. Of the tribe of Zabulon, Udiel, the son of Sudi. Of the tribe of Yosef. Of the sons of Manasseh, Gadi, the son of Susi. Of the tribe of Dan, Amiel, the son of Gamali. Of the tribe of Asher, Sathur, the son of Michael, or Mikael. Of the tribe of Ash, yeah, we already did Asher. Okay, so we're up to the next verse here. Of the tribe of Naphtali, Nabi, the son of Sabi. Okay, all right. Of the tribe of Gad, Udiel, the son of Maki. These are the names of the men whom Moshe sent to spy out the land, and Moshe called Husha, the son of Nun, Yahusha. Or in your modern English Bibles, it would say now his name changed from Hoshea to Joshua. Okay. And Moshe sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said to them, go up by this wilderness, and you shall go up to the mountain. And you shall see the land, what it is, and the people that dwell on it, whether it is strong or weak, or they are few or many. And what the land is on, which they dwell, it is tube or bad. What cities are wherein these dwell, whether they dwell in walled or unwalled cities. And what the land is, whether rich or poor, whether there are trees in it or no, you shall persevere and take of the fruits of the land, and the days of spring, the forerunners of the grapes. And they went up and surveyed the land from the wilderness of Sin to Rehob, as men go into Amath or Hamath. And they went up by the wilderness and departed as far as Hebron. There was Achiman and Sesi and Telami, the progeny of Anak, or you could say the sons of Anak. Okay. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Tanin of Egypt. Interesting. Now, what I do like about the Targum of Unkelos here, it doesn't just say the sons of Anak, it actually says sons of the giants. Okay, so these are the mighty, the mighty giants of old, as Genesis says. Okay, so these would be the remainder of what were not destroyed in the flood. So there's still giants after the flood here. And as you're going to see here at the end of this chapter, there is no fallen angel incursion here to cause more giants. It's giants begetting giants. Okay, there's a genetic problem where giants are being begotten giants and all that. So anyway, okay. And Hebron was built 7 years before Tanis of Mizraim, and they came to the valley of the cluster and surveyed it, and they cut down there a bow and one cluster of grapes upon it, and bore it on staves, and they took of the pomegranates and the figs. And they called that place the valley of the cluster, because of the cluster which the children of Yasharal cut down from there. And they returned from there, having surveyed the land after 40 days, and they proceeded and came to Moshe and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Yasharal to the wilderness of Paran Kadesh, or Kadesh, it probably says. Okay. And they brought word to them and to all the congregation. My bad, I'm like stumbling over my words here. And to all the congregation, and they showed the fruit of the land. Okay. And they reported to him and said, we came into the land into which you sent us, a land flowing with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Only the nation that dwells upon it, it is bold, and they have very great and strong walled towns. And we saw there the children of Anak, and Amalek dwells in the land toward the south, and the Hittite, the Hivite, the Jebusite, Amorite dwells in the hill country, and the Canaanite dwells by the sea. So I'm just going to make a little note here that I forgot for Numbers 13. I want to make a little reference here that we're going to talk about after we finish the chapter here about the Amorites, how we know they are hybrid giants. We're going to get into that because there's actually a reference from the book of Amos later on in the Tanakh that I have. So be patient, guys. I'm going to show to you they're not normal human men. Okay. All right. Dwells in the hill country, and Canaanite dwells by the sea and by the river of Jordan. And Caleb stayed the people from speaking before Moshe and said to him, nay, but we will go up and by all means and will inherit it, for we shall surely prevail against them. So obviously Caleb here has a different spirit in him than the other guys do. He's actually trusting in the Father here. Okay. And even though he knows they got insurmountable odds, when you realize how big these hybrid giants were, he has trust in the Father that the Father will fight for them. Who is a man of war. So, but the men that went up together with him said, "We will not go up, for we shall surely by any means be able to go up against the nation, for it is much stronger than we." And they're not lying. These guys are much stronger than they are. They brought a horror of that land which they surveyed upon the children of Yasharal, saying, "The land which we passed by to survey it is a land that eats up its inhabitants." And I would say it's not just talking about the land that eats up its inhabitants, if you catch my drift. Okay. If you know about certain extra biblical literature. Okay. Okay. So it's possibly even talking about the inhabitants of the land there would eat up certain people trying to come in there. Okay. And all the people whom we saw in it are men of extraordinary. Notice how the Septuagint says extraordinary stature. These are not tall 8-foot humans. These guys would have been a lot taller than that. Okay, this is not this is not a group of Shaquille O'Neals or Yao Mings. Okay, these are monstrous, tall, hybrid beings. Okay. And there we saw the giants, and we were before them as locusts. Okay, picture that. Like, you look at me, right? I'm a couple inches from 6 feet tall, right? I was a locust in the sight of the sons of Anak. Okay. So we're talking about, even removed from the pre-flood giants, you're talking about giants that would have still been as tall as cedar trees or even taller. Okay, so these are not just regular tall men like Andre the Giant trying to use that as an argument that they're just regular mortal men. Nah, not at all. These are monstrous beings. Okay. Yea, even so were we before them. I'm going to give you a little proof here. Matter of fact, talking about cedar trees. That was Numbers chapter 13, but let's go to Amos. I'm going to show you a little bit of proof here with my assertions here, okay? I believe it's Amos chapter 9, verse 7, okay? Or where does it talk about it? Hold on, let me try to find the exact verse here where it talks about.
They can reach 100 feet tall, cedars of Lebanon.
Yeah, 100 feet tall. That's probably the smaller ones. Okay, here we go. Amos 2:9. Amos chapter 2, verse 9. Nevertheless, I cut off the Amorite, which is one of the tribes mentioned in Numbers 13. Okay. From before them, whose height was the height of a cedar, and he was as strong as an oak. And I dried up his fruit from above and his root from beneath. Yeah, I don't think they're talking about basketball players here, okay? They're talking about some monstrous beings that would be as tall as cedars, that would be as strong as oak trees. Okay, these can't be mortal men. I'm sorry. That if we read the text for what it's literally saying, these are not regular human men. Okay, so Amos is even attesting to this. The same Amorites that are mentioned in the chapter we just read in Numbers 13. Okay, basically what happened, to give an expounding how we get giants after the flood. We obviously see Canaan is cursed because of his dad Ham.
Here I go again.
Yeah, my mom just showing me from encyclopediabritannica.com. It seems at the minimum, I guess the smallest cedar would have been 100 feet tall.
Well, it said they could grow 100 feet. I mean, 100 feet is a mess.
Okay, that's huge. Okay, that's huge. That makes sense why they're locusts in the sight of the sons of Anak. Why humans are locusts or grasshoppers in their sight, as your Masoretic text would say. That's just okay. So let me see here. So anyway, so I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here. Just want to have have you guys, your listeners, viewers, like really be honest with the text here. Okay, that's what it's saying. These are monstrous beings that they're fearful of. Okay. So anyway, so moving on here. But if you want to do your own research, I recommend going back to Genesis. If anyone can give me the exact verse here, I think it's in Genesis. What chapter of Genesis does it talk about the curse of Canaan because of Ham seeing the nakedness of his father? Okay. Okay, and then all of a sudden you get these giants all from Canaan. They're all from one lineage. Okay, so it seems like the Nephilim DNA has been passed on from the sins of the father going down to the son, unfortunately. Not about it's not in Genesis 5. No, it's after flood.
After the flood?
Yeah, because we're talking about post-flood giants here in context in Numbers 13. Okay, and it even says, we just read in Numbers 13, they come of the giants. The Masoretic text says. So
it's at the end of 9.
Yeah. So Genesis 9 here. Thank you, Mom.
Verse 24.
Verse 24. So we have the curse of Canaan here.
25.
Verse 24.
25.
Noah recovered from wine and knew all that his younger son had done to him. And he said, "Cursed be the servant Canaan. A slave shall he be to his brothers." And you'll see later on how that gets fulfilled with King Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 9. Actually, King Solomon ascribes to those that are left over of the lineage of Canaan, of all the giants that are from Canaan, he puts them to forced labor. So it's interestingly enough, this curse, actually gets fulfilled later on. Okay, he'll be a slave to his brothers. Okay, so Baruch be Yahuwah, the Elohim of Shem. Notice how it says the Elohim of Shem. Okay, and Canaan shall be his bondservant. Okay, so again, we see talking about Canaan is going to be slaved to Shem, to Shem's lineage. Okay, so we see that later on in 1 Kings, chapter built there. Anyway, we're going to move on here to chapter 14. I think you catch the drift here. Okay. All right. So, and all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept all that night. So now we're getting to the murmuring here. Now we're getting to them, why couldn't you leave us in Egypt? And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept all that night. And the children of Yashar all murmured against Masha and Aaron, and all the congregation said to them, "Would we had died in the land of Egypt, or in this wilderness? Would we had died, and why does Yahuwah bring us into this land to fall in war? Our wives and our children shall be for a prey. Now then it is better to return into Egypt." They said to one another, let us make a ruler and return into Egypt. So already we see this, we want a king like the other Gentiles before they even say it. This is like a foreshadowing to later in Deuteronomy where they tell Samuel, "No, we want a king like the Gentiles." And Masha and Aaron fell upon their face before all the congregation, the children of Yasharal. I don't think I would have been that humble. I've been like, Yahuwah, choose another nation. I'm done. Already I would have been given up on them. But Yahusha, son of Nun, Caleb, son of Yefuneh, of the number of them that spied out the land rent their garments and spoke to all the congregation of the children of Yasharal, saying, the land which we surveyed is indeed extremely tov, meaning extremely good, extremely well. If Yahuwah chooses us, I like how it says that, like predestination right there. If Yahuwah chooses us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey. Okay. Only depart not from Yahuwah and fear ye not the people of the land, for they are meat for us. Now, in this context, meat for us, I would think means like Yahuwah is giving them into our hand to consume them, not physically consume them, but sometimes in scripture when it's talking about a nation devours another nation, is talking about, to completely demolish them. It's like an allegory. Doesn't mean like literally eat people. Okay. For the season of prosperity is departed from them, but Yahuwah is among us.
In progress.
Okay, so here we go. And just a little notation here, I'm probably going to write down here. It actually, the Targum of Ankylos here mentions the word of Yahuwah. Only do not rebel against the word Yahuwah. So it's actually talking about Yahusha in the Targum. So this is interesting. I just want to make a little notation of verse 13 in the Ankylos version. Okay, as the word of Yahuwah. Right? And it even says Yahuwah is our helper in the Targum. So interesting. It's equating the word of Yahuwah as Yahuwah, our helper or savior. But yeah, it says the word of Yahuwah is our helper. Interesting. The word of Yahuwah is our helper. Okay. We're going to move on to verse 10 here. And all the congregation bade, stoned them with stones, and the splendor of Yahuwah. Okay, who's the splendor of Yahuwah? Obviously, we get the context from the prior verses in the Aramaic Targum there, who the splendor of Yahuwah is, the word of Yahuwah. Okay, so the splendor of Yahuwah, the esteem of Yahuwah appeared in the cloud. The image of the invisible Alua appeared in the cloud of the tabernacle witness to all the children of Yasharal. And Yahuwah spoke to Masha, how long does this people provoke me? How long do they refuse to believe me for all the signs which I have worked among them? It's funny, the Targum again says, will they disbelieve in my word? Interesting, because Yahusha talks about, if you don't believe in Masha's writings, meaning, the Torah, how will you believe how would you believe someone if they rose from the dead? It's interesting to think about there. All right. I will smite them with death and destroy them, and I will make of you and of your father's house a great nation. So basically, who's about to smite like all the 12 tribes right now and like leave Moses, or maybe the Levites with Moses, like, and just start from that lineage, start a whole new people.
He's had it. He's reached his tether.
Yeah, I'm with you, Yahuwah. I'm with you. Do it. I'm with you.
Reached his tether.
I'm with you right there. I'm with you. And Masha said to Yahuwah, so Egypt shall hear. Now this is Masha appealing to Yahuwah's his splendor and his esteem, for his name's sake, you could say. For you have brought up this people from by your strength.
Yes.
Okay. Moreover, all the dwellers upon this land have heard that you are Yahuwah in the midst of this people, who, O Yahuwah, are seen by them face to face. But wait a minute, I thought no one could see Yahuwah face to face. See, that's where the loophole of the visible image of the invisible Elohim comes to play. Because actually, it's saying here in the Septuagint, in verse 14, they've seen Yahuwah face to face. So there's a little loophole with the idea they can't see Yahuwah face to face. They can see, his son. Okay. And your cloud rests upon them, and you go before them by day in a pillar of a cloud, and by night in a pillar of fire. And if you shall destroy this nation as one man, interesting. I find that interesting because the angel of Yahuwah, when we get to the prophets, he slaughtered, 185,000 men as one person. So like one person doing all that. So I find it interesting. It says, if you, talking to Yahuwah here, if you shall destroy this nation as one man, then all the nations that have heard your name shall speak, saying, okay, because Yahuwah could not bring this people into the land which he swore to them, he has overthrown them in the wilderness. And now, O Yahuwah, let your strength be exalted as you spake, saying, Yahuwah, long-suffering, merciful, true, removing transgressions. The Son of Man has authority to forgive sin. Lawlessnesses and sins, he will by no means clear the guilty. I'm sending my messenger before you. He will guard you in the way. Be careful not to disobey him, for he will not forgive you. Okay, so I'm seeing a huge oneness right here in this verse. He will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the sins of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation. Forgive this people their sin according to your great mercy, as you were favorable to them from Egypt until now. So he was showing favor all the way to them from when he took them from Egypt until now. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, I am favorable to them, or merciful to them, according to your word. But as I live and my name is living, basically because Yahuwah means the one who exists, or so the eternal one, or the living one. So that's why it's saying in the Septuagint, my name is living. So the esteem of Yahuwah shall fill all the earth, for all the men who see my splendor and the signs which I worked in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me this 10th time, and have not hearkened to my voice, surely they shall not see the land which I swore to their fathers, but their children which are with me here, as many as know not Tov or evil, every inexperienced youth to them will I give the land, but none who have provoked me shall see it. But my servant Caleb, because there was another spirit in him, and he followed me, I will bring him into the land into which he entered, and his seed shall inherit it. But Amalek and the Canaanite dwell in the valley. Tomorrow turn to depart for the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. What's really interesting is the Aramaic, and I think even the Masoretic says the Sea of Suf, which I don't understand why, but that's a little interesting difference there. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, how long shall I endure this wicked generation? I have heard their murmurings against me, the murmuring of the children of Yasharal, which they have murmured concerning me. Say to them, as I live, says Yahuwah, surely as you spoke in my ears, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all of those of you that were reviewed, those of you that were numbered, from 20 years old and upward, all that murmured against me. Okay, move into the next verse here. You shall not enter into the land for which I stretched out my hand. Well, the Targum doesn't leave any room for interpretation who his hand is. okay, my word to establish you upon it, except only Caleb the son of Yephune and Yahusha son of Nun. So I'm just putting a little note here on Kalos as my word equals my hand. All right. Okay. And your little ones, who you said should be a prey, them will I bring into the land, and they shall inherit the land which you rejected, and your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness. And your sons shall be read in the wilderness. Oh no, my bad. Shall be fed in the wilderness. I couldn't see part of the word there. And your sons shall be fed in the wilderness 40 years, and they shall bear your whoredom. Okay, so the sons bearing the sin of the father. And there's a whole, that would take a whole explanation another day why people misunderstand this one isolated verse in the prophets that talks about, it's talking about capital punishment when it says, a son shall not be put to the death of the sins of his father. But it's not contradicting this verse here that says their sons will bear their lawlessness or their whoredom. Okay, that is correct. There is sins of the father do go down to their children. So there is generational curses. That is biblical. Okay. According to the number of the days during which you spied the land, 40 days and a day for a year, you shall bear your sins 40 years, and you shall know my fierce anger. Okay. I, you who have spoken, surely I will do thus to this evil congregation that has risen up together against me. In this wilderness they shall be utterly consumed, and there they shall die. And the men whom Moshe sent out to spy the land, who came and murmured against it to the assembly, so as to bring out evil words concerning the land, the men that spoke evil reports against the land even died of the plague before Yahuwah. And Yahusha, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Yephune, lived of those men that went out to spy the land. And Moshe spoke these words to all the children of Yasharal, and the people mourned exceedingly. And they rose early in the morning, went up to the top of the mountain, saying, behold, we that are here will go up to the place of which Yahuwah has spoken, because we have sinned. And Moshe said, why do you transgress the word of Yahuwah? So, now they're trying to make up for it. They're like, no, we'll go in there. We trust in Yahuwah now. Well, it's too late. You shall. So he's saying, why do you transgress the word of Yahuwah? You shall not prosper. Go not up, for Yahuwah is not with you. Meaning Yahuwah's already departed his presence from them. He's like, I'm not with them. So Yahuwah's not going to be fighting for them. That's what Moshe is trying to warn them about. Okay. So shall you fall before the face of your enemies. For Amalek and the Canaanite, they're before you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you have disobeyed Yahuwah and turned aside. And Yahuwah will not be among you. Targum there in the same verse says, the word of Yahuwah will not be your helper. So Yahusha will not be with them. Right, moving on to verse, let's see here, 44, I believe. And having forced their passage, they went up to the top of the mountain, but the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah, and Moshe stirred not out of the camp. And Amalek and the Canaanite that dwelt in the mountain came down and routed them and destroyed them unto Hermon, and they returned to the camp. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 14. Before we go to 15, I noticed how patient Abigail and Yochanan, Jonathan were just waiting, and they had their hand raised. So if you have a question or comment, feel free to jump in, Abigail and Yochanan.
Shabbat Shalom, Brother Doug. It's nice to be here again. I just wondered if you realized that your screen sharing is only showing a black screen.
Uh-oh. Not good.
We can't see the scriptures.
Oh boy. All right. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know that. All right. That should not be the case. Usually it's not. All right. Last week's screen, I don't know. There's a connection problem here. All right. Let me see it. All right. So let me know if it's still not, if it's still a black screen, just let me know.
It's just a black screen right now. There, now it's up. The scriptures are up now. Thank you very much.
Yep. And to help you out, since it was a black screen that whole time, we just read Numbers 4, chapter 14. So we did 13 and 14 so far. And now we're going to do 15. So I'm going to be going to 15 now. All right. And this is the Word software. It's available for, I think, any type of laptop, desktop. It's kind of like an alternative to eSword, pretty much. So I'm using a parallel of the Septuagint on the left, the Aramaic Targum of the Pentateuch of Onkelos on the right. All right, so here we go. It says, Numbers 15 is one of my favorite chapters. It's the chapter about the fringes and all that, and how important the Sabbath is. You're going to see how strict, just a little spoiler alert, how strict Yahuwah is about how you should be keeping the Sabbath. All right, so anyway, here we go. Numbers chapter 15. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Yasher all, and you shall say to them, when you are come into the land of your dwelling, which I give to you. So this is specifically referring to when they entered to the land of Canaan, that this should be observed. That's the point of him saying this here in verse 2. You will offer whole burnt offerings to Yahuwah, and whole burnt offering or a grain offering, to perform a vow, or a freewill offering, or to offer in your feast a sacrifice of sweet. Move the cursor down here. Savor to Yahuwah, whether of the herd or the flock. Then he that offers his gift to Yahuwah shall bring a grain offering of fine flour, a 10th part of an ephah, mingled with oil, even with the 4th part of the hin. Okay. And for a drink offering, you shall offer a 4th part of the hin on the whole burnt offering, or on the grain offering. My bad. Grain offering. For every lamb you shall offer so much as a sacrifice, as well as sweet savor to Yahuwah. So obviously we see here, this is not things that he hates. So when I'm mainly addressing Christians on here that read Isaiah chapter 1 and get isolated understanding and think that all of a sudden Yahuwah hates his feasts, he hates his new moons and Sabbaths and his sacrifices. You can see here in Numbers, it's a sweet aroma to him. It's a sweet savor to him. So Yahuwah doesn't change. He's not going to be like, oh, I love these things, and then I hate these things. Don't do them anymore. That's not the context of Isaiah chapter 1. So I would recommend anyone that believes that, read Isaiah chapter 1 beginning to end, the whole chapter, to get the context of that. So anyway, so we're going to move on here. Chapter 15 of Numbers, verse 6. And for a ram, when you offer it as a whole burnt offering or as a sacrifice, you shall prepare as a grain offering 2/10 of fine flour mingled with oil, the 3rd part of a hin. And I think I've explained this before, but for new viewers, listeners, or subscribers here, meat in the old British English was not like exclusive to animals. I just want to make that clear. Like the term meat, like sometimes if you're reading the King James or Brenton's, Sir Lancelot Brenton translated the Septuagint 1851, he's a British guy. He's using British language. So meat in the old English is like food in general. For example, you'll see in the King James of Genesis chapter 1, every herb of the field I gave meat for you. It just means food, okay? So in this context, obviously it's a grain offering. And the ISR, Hallelujah Scriptures, a lot of times they'll fix this Old English word to grain offering to help the reader. Anyway, just thought I would give an explanation there. Okay. 2/10 of fine flour mingled with oil, a third part of the hin, and you shall offer for a sweet, smell of sweet savor to Yahuwah, wine for a drink offering, a third part of the hin. Okay. And if you sacrifice a bullock or herd for a whole burnt offering or for a sacrifice to perform a vow or peace offering to Yahuwah, then the worshiper shall offer upon the calf a grain offering, 3/10 deals of fine flour, mingled with oil, the half of a hin, and wine for a drink offering, half of a hin, a sacrifice for a smell of a sweet savor to Yahuwah. Thus shall you do to one calf, or to one ram, or to one lamb of the sheep, or the kid of the goats. According to the number of what you offer, so shall you do to each one according to their number. Every native of the country shall do thus to offer such things as sacrifice for a smell of sweet savor to Yahuwah. And if there should be a stranger among you in your land, or one who should be born to you among your generations, and he will offer a sacrifice, a sweet savor to Yahuwah. As you do so, the congregation shall offer to Yahuwah. So there's one law for the natural born and the one that's grafted in, basically. Okay. There shall be one for you, one law for you, and for the stranger abiding among you. A perpetual law for your generations as you are, so shall the stranger be before Yahuwah. Okay. Basically means like if you're a Gentile believer, you're grafted in and you have that same law. That's what he's saying. There's not a different law for Gentile believers. All right. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the sons of Yasharal, and you shall say to them, when you are entering into the land into which I bring you, then it shall come to pass when you shall eat of the bread of the land, you shall separate a wave offering, a special offering to Yahuwah, the first fruits of your dough. You shall offer your bread, a heave offering, as a heave offering from the threshing floor. So shall you separate it, even the first fruits of your dough. And you shall give Yahuwah a heave offering throughout your generations. But whenever you shall transgress and not perform all these commands which Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, and Yahuwah appointed you by the hand of Moshe from the day which Yahuwah appointed you and forward throughout your generations, then it shall come to pass if a trespass be committed willingly, unknown to the congregation, then shall all the congregation offer a calf of the herd without blemish for a whole burnt offering of sweet savor to Yahuwah, and its grain offering and its drink offering according to the ordinance, and one kid of the goats for a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for all the congregation of the children of Yasharal, and the trespass shall be forgiven them, because it is involuntary. And they have brought their gift, a burnt offering to Yahuwah for their trespass before Yahuwah, even for their involuntary sins, meaning, unwillful. Whoops, my bad. I don't know why I did that. All right. See, what verse was I at, Mom? 17?
Oh. Or no, I was much further along than this one.
Yeah. Never mind, I got it. All right. It's actually verse 27.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right.
Like,
Sorry. And if one soul sins unwillingly, he shall bring one she-goat of a year old for a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for the soul that committed the trespass unwillingly, and that sinned unwillingly before Yahuwah to make atonement for him. And there shall be one law for the native among the children of Yasharal, and for the stranger that abides among them. seems to be important to Yahuwah. He's like saying it twice in the same chapter. I don't know. That seems to be really important. He keeps saying one law, one law. So we need to take that context forward when we start reading the New Testament. It talks about so you fulfill the law of Messiah. We need to keep in context Yahusha is the Torah of Yahuwah made flesh. He's not a different law. So we just need to keep that in context. All right. And whatever soul either of the natives or of the strangers shall do anything which a presumptuous hand, he will provoke Aluel, that soul shall be cut off from his people. For he has set at nothing the word of Yahuwah and broken his commands. I like how the Targum says, made his commandment vain. Reminds me of what Yahusha said in Mark chapter 7, verses 6 to 7. Through your vain tradition, you have made my father's word vain through your tradition. So interesting. They use the word vain instead of broke. That's interesting. That soul shall be utterly destroyed. His sin is upon him. I want to make a little note of that. Numbers 15:31 there. Kilos as vain. Mark 7, verse 6 to 7. And the children of Yasharal were in the wilderness, and they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. Now, this is where it's going to get funky. I don't know if the Targum differs, but we're going to see in a verse later on in this chapter where the Masoretic omits Sabbath the second time. Okay, so just keep your eyes out for that. So the children of Yasharal were in the wilderness, and they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. And they who found him gathering sticks on the Sabbath, very next verse, okay. Oh boy, yep, there's the problem. Yeah. So for some reason they decided to omit the word for Sabbath in verse 33 for whatever reason. But the Septuagint has it. Okay. Brought him to Masha and Aaron and to all the congregation and children of Yasharal. And they placed him in custody, for they did not determine what they should do to him. And Yahuwah spoke to Masha, saying, let the man be by all means put to death. All the congregation stoned him with stones, and all the congregation brought him forth out of the camp, and all the congregation stoned him with stones outside the camp, as Yahuwah commanded Masha. And I remember hearing this growing in. I don't know if anyone else heard this in Christianity, but I heard this idea that they would try to find a loophole like, well, that's what Moses commanded. Now, it says what Yahuwah commanded Moses. Yahuwah commanded stoning. Okay, that's one of his commandments. So to say, no, Moses is the one who instituted, no. Yahuwah commanded Moses to institute it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually what his word says. So, because I remember hearing that growing up in my Christian brain. Oh, it was actually a commandment of Moses. No. And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Yasharal, and you shall tell them, let them make for themselves fringes upon the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and you shall put upon the fringes of the borders a lace of blue. Now, from what I've looked at in the Greek of the Septuagint, the actual original Greek of it, borders is kind of misleading. Borders, we think of borders, we think like the whole bottom of the shirt. We would think of, kind of like the Native American stuff. But if you actually look in the actual original Greek, it's supposed to be corners, 4 corners. And you'll see later on in Deuteronomy, it talks about put them on the 4 corners of your garments. Okay, so it's actually talking about have a fringe, have this one lace, have a lace of blue on 4 corners of your garments with the fringe. So that's why I do the 4 corners anyway. So anyway, just thought I would explain that. And if you're interested to find out in the Septuagint, it is blue. It's if I'm not mistaken, the word for it is what we talked about this before. The word for blue in the Greek, it's zircoin is the root word. So like a zircoin stone, like a very, very light, deep sea blue. See if I can get this on the
Like a topaz kind of blue.
like kind of like this. That's probably what the cord of blue would have been that Yahuwah is commanding them to have on their fringes here. So anyway, and by the way, the Onkelos agrees with that and uses, interestingly, a Greek word, hyacinth. That's interesting. So Aramaic manuscripts using Greek language. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, moving on. Verse 39. And it shall be on your fringes, you shall look on them, and you shall remember all the commands of Yahuwah and do them. And you shall not turn back after your imaginations and after the sight of your eyes and the things after which you go a-whoring, that you may remember and perform all my commands. And you shall be set apart unto your Alua. I am Yahuwah, your Alua, that brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your Alua. I am Yahuwah, your Alua. So that is the end of our Numbers portion. I think we're going to take a short intermission just for anyone that needs to eat, anyone that needs a short, 30-minute break. Next we'll be doing, let me just see here. So next we are going to be starting our Joshua portion, which is only one chapter. So I'll read that for us also, since it's only one chapter. So please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Thank you for joining us so far. Shabbat Shalom to our brothers and sisters on Facebook and those that will be seeing it on YouTube later on. So we'll be right back.